Hi, welcome to the lecture on some further features of friendship. I want to continue to refine our conception of friendship here by uh, re revisiting some aspects, some properties that we've actually discussed, but I want to kind of elaborate a little further about the association of these properties with friendship. So the properties I'm going to be looking at are virtue, love, self-love, goodwill, and concord. So those five. Let me begin with virtue. First of all, there are times almost where Aristotle says that friendship is a kind of virtue, and I guess we could say maybe that it is a kind of virtue since it entails all the virtues. But I don't think it is a virtue like bravery or intellectual virtue or something like that. So it's friendship is a relationship between two people, and a good friendship, a full friendship, a complete friendship entails that both persons are virtuous. So it entails the virtues. Okay. Now, virtues have two conditions. People can be in a state of virtue, or they can be in an active uh, activity of virtue. And this is pretty simple. So you can be just. If you are just, then you are a just person. That doesn't mean that you have to be doing anything that is just at the moment in time. You are in a state of justice. You are disposed to act justly. So you might be sleeping, for instance, but you are still a just person. Similarly, in this sense, friendship is like friendship is like a virtue. Uh, you might be in a friendship state with a person and not be living out that friendship for whatever reason. Maybe they moved away and it's a good friend. So good friendships are enduring even when people are far away. So it is possible, you see, if to maintain a friendship, and you can still say that you are in a friendship with so and so, even though you do not live together or you do not participate in ongoing activities on an everyday basis, right? Because that friendship that you created lives on, even if they're two people are separated. That is possible. And Aristotle would say that you are in a state of friendship. The friendship is not active. Now, of course, Aristotle would also argue that if that state of friendship has no rekindling of any sort, then it's possible that it will ultimately dissolve. So, so that's the first thing. Now, the second thing that we're going to look at is love, and we've talked about this for a while. Friendship and love are connected. Love, we can think of love as a kind of feeling that is associated with the relationship of friendship. We've talked about the that friend that you don't need to necessarily be in a friendship to love someone. However, if you are in a good friendship, then you must love someone, right? So friendship is necessary condition, but it's not enough. You need more than love to have a friendship. Um, Now, I also want to point out that according to Aristotle, you can give love and you can receive love, and Aristotle says that friendship is mostly the giving of love and not the receiving of love. Um, Let me say something about the self-love, which is really important because I think Aristotle says something really interesting here. Um, so Aristotle says that you would think self-love to love oneself. Uh, how would Aristotle deal with this in the conception of friendship? So Aristotle thinks that actually a good friendship is built on self-love. So again, like love, self-love is also a necessary ingredient, a necessary feature of a good friendship. You really need to know how to love yourself first to be able to love your neighbor, right? Aristotle says that, and I'm going to read that quote for you. He says, the defining feature of friendship that are found in friendships to one's neighbor would seem to be derived from features of friendship toward oneself. It's almost like, you're going to treat people how you treat yourself when you want to treat them well. So if you know what the good is for you, then you'll know what the good is for your friend. Um, and it's based on that you treat your friend good. So, um, so now when I love myself, you see, I am one with myself. And this is another part that is also important. For Aristotle, I do not have a conflicting soul. A person who is virtuous and loves himself, okay, has developed desires, created desires, so that they cohere with practical reasoning. So I am not one of these individuals who has this desire for X, but I know, X is wrong. So I have this conflict in my soul. I have these strong desires for things that I know are wrong. Aristotle would say that this is a person who has not, it's difficult for that person to love themselves. Why? Because those desires are part of who they are, right? And uh, Aristotle argues that these are people who will do things that they regret later, right? And they will, this is not developing a kind of love for oneself, but rather a kind of hate for oneself. So he says, the excellent person is of one mind with himself. Think about that. So, and desires the same thing in his whole soul. I don't have like four different desires. I have this sort of unity. Thus, a good person always wishes what is good, and most of all, he wishes this for himself, right? Um, okay, so I think that that's really important because I think that this has to do also with eudaimonia, right? Because when you wish for something and you act towards your wishes and try to achieve these things, and you do, you are happy. However, if you have wishes that go contrary to what you know is right and you don't accomplish those wishes, you're always going to be kind of frustrated. There's always going to be a sense of frustration and unhappiness in this soul, right? In this person, in this mind. So, uh, okay. So the next, well, let me read one more quote. For they are talking about people who are not at one with themselves, right? He says for they are at odds with themselves and have an appetite for one thing and a wish for another, as incontinent people do. So these are the base people, the people that are corrupt. So when he talks about appetite desires, he's talking about your passions. When he's talking about wishes, he's talking about your rational desires, the ones that I should be doing that. I should be trying to achieve that. These are desires. They're kind of like desires. They're wishes, but they've been deliberated on and chosen by you voluntarily, right? And freely. You've decided to want that. Where the appetites are not things that you decide, they're involuntary. So that's the difference. Um, one more quote: for the soul is in conflict because he is vicious, full of vice. One part is distressed at being restrained, and another pleased by intended action. And as each pulls in a different direction, as though they were tearing him apart. Wow, what a metaphor. Um, so so you have this divided soul, and in self love, what you have is a person whose desires, appetites, and passions cohere with his uh, wishes, his deliberative decisions and desires, rational desires. So for goodwill. Now, goodwill is a necessary, just like love. It's not only that you love someone, you also wish goodwill on that person. Goodwill is different than love because Aristotle thinks that a good person has goodwill for everyone, right? You never wish bad on anyone. So you should wish good on, or what people deserve, right? Uh, you should wish good you should will what is good for everyone, right? Um, and so it can't be, right? You see, it can't be, goodwill is not uh, a sufficient condition for friendship. It's only necessary. Friends have goodwill for each other, that's for sure. And they also love each other, that's for sure. So the last one is, the fifth one is what he calls concord. And this is the kind of agreement and relationship that citizens within a community find among each other. They have concord. When concord exists, there exists a sense of harmony about the community's objectives, their goals, and how they want to achieve these goals. This is not friendship, although among friends there is concord. So, again, you see that friendship is something that has all these features, but is different from all of these features. So I hope that this gives you still more layers and a more refined understanding of Aristotle's conception of friendship. Thanks.